What's up, people? I'm back for another video. Sorry I didn't review Maniac Cop 2 yesterday. I'm just gonna be honest. It was so bad it didn't deserve a whole video. So what I'm gonna do before I get into The Nun really quick, I am gonna talk about Maniac Cop 2. My god, it was bad. They killed Bruce Campbell in the beginning, him and Teresa. And they're pretty much very early on, so they can. And I like Robert Davi, but I didn't even feel like they used him. And the Maniac Cop was working with like this crew. It was weird, dude. Maniac Cop 2 was just no. So I'm not even gonna do 3. That's why I decided not to do a whole video on it yesterday. But today, I watched The Nun, and it's not good. I don't think it's. How can I explain this? It is bad. I don't think it's a pile of shit like the movie I'm going to review tomorrow, but it is definitely not good. I think it's a very disappointment is probably a better word, especially considering like one of the most talked about things about Conjuring 2 was the nun and her appearance. It'd have been kind of cool to get more about her. I don't know shit about her. Apparently they go into it in the second movie, but it's like, why wasn't this movie that? Why am I, even the demon that apparently you follow, Valak, is a different demon than the actual nun. So I don't know shit about the nun. Like, you title it the nun, but the nun's not even the focus. And I'm just saying, the characters are absolutely boring. Father Burke, the actor who plays him, is pretty good. I've seen him in other movies. But he just, in this movie, just didn't do it for me. Him, Sister Irene, the Frenchie wasn't interesting either. Maurice, who we get the reveal later on, it just wasn't good, man. It was so not compelling. And there just wasn't, sorry about that. There just wasn't good. Just none of the scares got me. They all felt very telegraphed. Even the beginning one, that opening scene, it didn't do anything. Like with the nuns dying in the beginning, well, it just didn't get me. Like when you first saw the nun in Conjuring 2, it was so good in the mystery. And I'm not saying they needed to go into it, but at least let me know more than I already know, or the lack of knowing. I have to wait another movie for them to do it, like. The lack of world building also, there should have been world building in this movie, and there just wasn't. Like, it didn't feel like this is tied to the Conjuring world. It felt like a cash grab. It felt like they got cocky because everyone liked the other Conjuring movies, so they were like, I know this came out technically before Conjuring 3. They got I think partially it was that they got cocky. I think they're like, oh, we're doing good with the Conjuring films. We're just going to take the name and not do anything with it. You know, and it's crazy. I mean, I know it's a weird comparison. I just watched it this year, but it's like the Continental. Like, it was a spinoff of this beloved franchise that, you could have used to build the world, have big world building and done all this shit, and they squandered. I think Continental's the worst thing in general, but it's like that. Like, they just dropped the ball. Like, there was no world building. You don't know shit about the nun that we already know. Even Valak, the demon that's in the movie, besides surface level shit, not really much. I've had one positive. I guess some of the acting's alright. And, like, but I don't have any, I really don't have any positives. I'm trying to think of one. Like, none of the scares are good. There just wasn't. I don't know. It was weird because it's like Conjuring 2 was only, because this came out 2018. It's like, how, this was only 2 years after Conjuring 2. How the fuck did they fall that hard? Oh, man. It's like they just took the name but didn't actually do anything with it. I guess the ending was kind of nice to see the Warrens again and Carolyn watching the Warrens talk about the case. That was kind of cool, I guess, but you only see that for like a split second. So it's like, I don't recommend this movie. I almost just say watch. I don't know about the Nun 2. We'll see. I hear it's not that much better. It's better than this, but it's not much. So I don't know. So it's like it just. I guess as of now, as someone who's just watching this movie, just watch the main three. Because I hear Annabelle isn't much better either. So it's like just watch the main three movies. Or main two if you didn't like three. Just it's unfortunate. At least those ones had compelling character. And I understand I understand it's gonna be a spinoff, right? So it's not gonna have the Warrens in it or some of the same characters that you see in the original in the in the main movies. I understand that, but get compelling characters. None of them were compelling to me. I had to like look on Wikipedia for some of the names because I fucking, to be honest, I just, to be fair, I was very checked. I felt like the movie was taking way too long too. It was an hour and a half, but you weren't take. It wasn't like getting to the point. None of the scare. It's so disappointing. So, out of 10, fuck, probably if I mean I'll be nice and give it a 5, but no. I'll give it a 4.5 because I don't think it's pile of shit, but it's not good. It's just not good objectively. I think I'm even 5 is even a little too high for it. It just because of what it could have been and what you could have done. I'm not even a fan of prequels like that, but you should have just did that. You should have just did a story about the nun, what happened before, and then something happened, and what happened, how she became a demon. I don't necessarily like. I know that's a little cheap, but I'd rather have you just done that. At least that's something. If you can make it good, you can make that compelling, and it would have made more sense. This, what we got, just it feels like it's a case of they took the name, but it like you take out some of the nun shit, you can make this like a different movie. Like that's not necessarily tied to the Conjuring universe. That's how bad this is. You take out that ending, you tweak it, like you could still have even the nuns, but it's not necessarily tied to the change some names around. You could easily make this just generic. I think that's the other thing. If this wasn't necessarily tied to the Conjuring or any of that, or like the nun from the Conjuring franchise, it necessarily wouldn't be a bad movie, but because it's tied to all that, it's such a letdown. And I think that's probably one of the title of the video. What a letdown. This is very much a letdown. You could have made, Conjuring 3 has its problems, but I'd rather watch that again before this. We'll see how Nun 2 goes next week, but yeah, very much let down from Nun. You could have made something better than that shit, It's like none of the scares were good. Like they're just kind of they're happening. Oh, we're at the scare portion of the movie. Yeah. So tomorrow I'm reviewing Cruel Jaws, and I watched someone roast this on YouTube, like a condensed version, and my God, it is bad. The blatant, like they just straight up steal Jaws points. The shark looks terrible. The fact that this came out in '95, but it looks like it came out like in the '70s is crazy. They straight up steal like almost, at least up until that point, they straight up steal like music from Jaws, like John Williams music. They play like the score of Jaws, like you could hear the beginning. It's clearly Jaws, and then they put some other music in it, and then they also did like. There's even a point where and I'm not kidding you, they play fucking the main title Star Wars theme. Like you could hear it, like that start, that iconic start, whatever I think of Star Wars now, but that iconic start, they play that and then they add some other music into it and make it different. I'm like, how the fuck did you get away with that? And even some of the posters look like it's like Jaws 5. Like they clearly were trying to make this seem like Jaws 5, basically. It was, oh my God, I can only imagine watching it all the way through because I haven't. I've watched someone, watch a condensed version, like, roast it. So I can only imagine sitting through the whole thing. Oh my God. Because, I've been wanting to do kind of roast bad movies like this. And, why not? So I'll start with this one. Next week, though, for sure, I'll get back to X-Men. But maybe I'll find like another because Halloween's over, and I'll still do some slashers here and there. Like I'm doing the Nun movies and shit. That's horror, so I'm still gonna be doing definitely some horror stuff. But I do want to start adding some other genres back now. It's November now, so. But yeah, we'll find some bad movies or something like this because holy shit. Just even the condensed version, like how the fuck is this a real movie? How do you blatantly just steal John Williams' score and get away with it? It's like blatant. Like it's not even like they hit it. Like okay, anyway, I'll get into it tomorrow. But let's talk about the Nun. So just what it is. Yeah, so the movie starts. These nuns get killed by an unseen force, which, okay, this could have been an okay scene if they executed a bit better. And maybe in the lack of tension in like the horror scenes, I think this, because at least compared to The Conjuring, and I don't want to try, and I know it's in the same universe, but I don't want to try to force a comparison, but you have to. It's like the Nun, the Conjuring, the scares are all built up. There's suspense. The first one, the second one, especially, but even the third one, there's somewhat some of the scares. There's suspense there. There's none here, and it's not just because I know this is It's not even like that. It's just there's none. Like when they both die finally, it's just like. And then yeah, we meet Father Burke. We have a scene with like some of the the priests about what's going on and with the nuns, and it's just the story is so hard to get into. I think that's the other problem I had with the movie. I was trying to pay attention, and I was paying attention, but it was just I was like, God, can we do something? Like I'm not saying I need a scare or kill or something like that every like 5 minutes, but when you're just going for like 30-40 minutes and nothing has happened and in an hour and a half movie, because this is what it was like hour and 37, something like that. It's like, okay, no, get to the fucking point, movie. Ugh, it's painful. Like it was just a drag. Like if you want to at least make the characters compelling, I'm okay with like a character study. I love Reservoir Dogs. It's a lot of just dialogue, and I know it's not horror, but like just I'm okay with movie with a lot of fucking Nefarious, which I will eventually review. I think I'm gonna review it this month. I plan on anyway. Nefarious, my favorite horror movie this year. Pretty much the whole movie was a discussion with supernatural shit in it, but a lot of it was just dialogue, and I'm fine with that. But the characters were compelling to make it. That's why it worked. But when you don't have that, your movie just fucking drags, and that's what this was. I was just kind of like this. I mean, like go. It just, oh my god, man, I was so checked out. Very fucking checked out. I definitely would say don't watch it. It's not even worth it. Like, there's, like, the nun you barely see. We find out that there's this demon possessing people, Valak, who they sealed before with the blood of Christ. And, my god, this sequence. Yeah, I didn't even get into that. The fucking defeat a demon with the blood of Christ. What the fuck are we doing? Oh, no. Actually, no, I'm going to change my title. My title for this is going to be Holy Hand Grenade, even though that's not necessarily what it was, but it's what it was. Even the thing they put it in looked like a goddamn grenade. It was so cheese, bro. It was... And the scene where, like, they're trying to exorcise the demon and have, like, a cross on her. They were trying to be like The Exorcist, but I'm like, no, don't even try to invoke that. It just was not. It just wasn't good. Oh my god, this movie. you could have made this decent, especially because if we're going in release order, this followed Expendable. This followed The Conjuring 2, which was so fucking to me. That's the best. That's my favorite one in the franchise. You follow that with this pile of shit. Yeah, no. It's just you have some good actors here. Father Bird was good. If you acted for him, if you actually gave him something to work with, and him and same with Sister Irene, she's not necessarily a bad actress. Not her fault. I just think they just didn't give her shit to work with. That you're like, okay, I'm actually invested in the story. And no, I was just checked out. I'm just like, okay, can we go? That's why I'm sorry. I wanted, cause I try to go more into plot when I do my reviews, but it's just when I'm that checked out. I'm sorry, it does. I can't. I'll be honest. I was very checked out at a point to where I'm like, I'll just look on Wikipedia to jog my memory. Because to be honest, I was that checked out when I was watching it. It was like, I'm gonna say it. It was like when I was reviewed one of the really bad Hellraiser sequels. So, oh my god, these fucking pants. Sorry about that, guys. Fucking tearing them. Get rid of them. But, I just don't think when you give me those vibes, because when I was watching one of those, I had that same feeling where I'm just checked out. I don't even care anymore. That's what I was with this fucking movie, man. I did not give a shit. I was very tuned out. I guess I like the setting. If I had to if I'm gonna really need to try to find a positive here, yeah. So, Valak attacks, whatever. We have this. We see the nun, which just, yeah. Which I guess the sequences with the nun are alright. They put some work into it, but it's just when I'm just that checked out of the story. I can't care. And I think that's the sad part is this movie could have went into more lore, and I just felt like when you have something like this, for me, if you're gonna always do a spinoff, you better add to the world. And I just don't think this does this. I don't know anything. Basically, my knowledge of the nun is no different than what it was with the nun. With Conjuring 2. It's just like, oh, it's a creepy nun lady. That's kind of how all I see her in this. I didn't learn shit. Apparently, they go more into it in the second one, but it's like, why didn't you do that this movie? I'm not even saying I don't necessarily want everything to know, because sometimes that can ruin a character we go too into their background. But give me something, because now all I see her is this creepy nun lady. By this movie, I should at least have somewhat of an idea of what her character is, besides just creepy nun lady who does creepy shit. That's it. That's not good storytelling. Such a disappointment. Very much a disappointing. And I feel bad for people who saw this at the time, because I can only imagine if you watch the Conjuring movies when they came out and, you see the nun the first time in Conjuring 2, and then you go and see this, and this is what you fucking get. And also, I know, meandering. It was very meandering movie, too. It just scenes happen. I'm just like, can we get to something? The lore, like I said, there's no real lore. There's nothing. It's like surface level shit about Valak, who I thought we were learning about the nun. Why are we talking about Valak? And Valak just wasn't interesting. It was a random demon. I guess somewhat looked like the nun, and we get some. The final act isn't even that they defeat her. We get that scene where they try to basically invoke the Exorcist, and it did not look good. I mean, it just like, guys, you're at Father Burke's, the power of Christ. But I know that's an actual thing. I understand, but I'm gonna compare it to the Exorcist, and that's clearly what they were trying to go for, and it just fucking did not. It did not land at all. we find out that Maurice seemingly defeated Lord Valak, but we find out Lord Valak. Sorry, just Valak. I don't know why I said Lord Valak. Valak turns actually possessed Maurice, and this is where we get a time jump. And we see the Warrens talking about that case with Maurice being possessed and Carolyn watching them. And I'll admit, this was kind of cool to see, but the problem is that scene isn't long. Like, you know where it goes. And I don't know. It felt like just tacked on almost. It's like they wanted. That's why I was even saying kind of like the Hellraiser sequels, because the plot felt like it was something else, so a different. Like, if this wasn't tied to The Conjuring and the nun from this franchise, it could easily be its own fucking movie. And that's what it felt like to me. It was a case of they probably wrote something else and they just called it The Nun. Because that's what it feels like to me. It doesn't even feel like it's tied in. Like, even that last sequence, I do think it's decent. But I also do feel like that easily they could have just filmed that to make it seem like it's tied to The Nun. The Conjuring. And it's not a good film. None of the characters are compelling. You don't really care about the story. It just kind of goes. And I'm just like, I'm ready for this to end. And the scares just don't do it for me. They're kind of just almost like generic horror scares, which is sad considering, because up until this point, the first two Conjuring movies, I think 2 was a bit, better in that aspect. But even 1, I think, had good scares. The scares were built up. They didn't just feel like generic horror movie scares like this felt like. A lot of the scares in this were just your standard, oh, here's some creepy snakes, some creepy imagery, creepy imagery to make you, it's that kind of shit that's supposed to make you feel scared, but not actually scared, because it's just shit we've seen before. And that's what I felt like it was in this. A lot of the scares are shit we've seen before, even done better. Yeah. And that's what I was kind of really sad with this movie. I wanted to even be like, okay, maybe I didn't hate it like maybe I didn't love it, but I was even thinking maybe I wouldn't necessarily like hate it like everybody. No, they were right. This isn't good. I can only imagine if you watch this at the time, if you're really into the Conjuring movies, because, man. I think if it was just its own movie, not tied to the Conjuring universe, I guess it wouldn't be horrible. But it's just because it's tied to that, and we all wanted to learn more about the nun, and this is what you give us. I guess in Nun 2, we get more of the actual. Like, why did you do that in this movie? Why did you wait till the next one to do? I hate when movies do that shit. It's like, you're making a movie right now. Just do that now. Why would you? Anyway. 4.5 out of 10. Very disappointing. Definitely won't watch it again. I'm probably going to only. Looks like with the Conjuring movies, I'm probably going to only just watch the main 3 and not even touch the other ones. I mean, after I review them. Because I hear Annabelle and Annabelle Creation aren't much better either. So it's like, man, the spin-offs suck. I'm hoping Insidious isn't the same way, because I'm going to eventually watch the Insidious spin-offs too. So hopefully they're not. I'm hoping they're better than this, because holy shit. So Insidious, I mean not Insidious. I wish I was watching Insidious. Nun 2 next Thursday. We'll see. And then I guess we're gonna be doing the Annabelle movies after that. So I gotta. Oh man, I have a feeling these next few Thursdays, all these movies are gonna suck. But anyway. Alright, guys. Tomorrow, Cruel Jaws, probably not going to be a review. It's going to be a rant. And this was a rant, so next few days I got some rants, guys. But yeah,